are you, Mayor?
Doing well. Good morning, Joe.
And a beautiful one it is. A little crisp, though.
That's all right. It's supposed to be this time of year. It works for me.
Too bad it didn't cooperate for the Food Truck Festival.
I know. Imagine that. What a shocker. Another weekend interrupted by rain. Gee. But you know what? It went off very well. It's some intermittent showers, but the crowds were great, and everyone seemed to be having a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it's there were 8 or 10 tents set up for folks, so you could get out of the rain for a bit if you wanted to.
Exactly.
And,
but it wasn't steady, so people can deal with it.
Right. And this Saturday, the Montclair Wollaston Neighborhood Association is going to try and get their pumpkin festival in.
That's not looking too good.
Honestly.
It is unbelievable.
I think we should all work on the weekends and take the weeks off.
I was talking to a retired guy over the weekend. He says, doesn't matter to me. He says, I got all week. I said, well, that isn't fair.
That's right. We all hope to make it there one day.
Exactly.
Well, fortunately, the weather will cooperate for a major project beginning today up at the Furnace Brook Golf Course. What's going on?
Yes, so we had a lot of community meetings about the Furnace Brook Golf Club and all the improvements they needed, but one of them was the old clubhouse, which I was up there for a golf tournament in memory of Kevin Hannon. They were raising money for scholarships, and I went downstairs to use the facilities, and the stink of the mildew and mold in that place was unbelievable.
Really?
But the building falls short in a lot of ways. ADA, all the codes. It was not worth saving. So after several meetings and decisions, discussion by the Park and Rec Board and certainly Commissioner Dave Murphy, the decision was made to take it down and put a new clubhouse that will meet all the standards of today, especially the ADA requirements that we have today. So, yeah, the demolition begins today. I believe that's happening in-house by one of our DPW equipment operators, and then the process will begin about foundation and the new clubhouse, which will be located roughly where the old one is today.
Okay. And what will the amenities be for the new facility?
Well, certainly brand new, clean, easily accessible by anybody. Mm-hmm. It'll have a function facility like the old one did, a nice wraparound porch like the old one did, and then, of course, new locker rooms and new kitchen, a much better kitchen that will allow for, in this case, the Fours has been the vendor up there to provide, better meals than what was in the past. And then I believe there's going to be some golf simulators in the lower level that people can use as well. So it's going to be a comprehensive facility. Place has needed a facelift for a long time, and certainly the clubhouse is the biggest face of it. So it's good stuff. And, as you know, we had appropriations passed by the City Council, and it's anticipated over the coming years that the revenue coming in from the golf will cover the cost of most of this bond, if not all of it.
Right. I think it's important to point out it will remain a public course, right?
That's correct. Yep.
And I know Commissioner Murphy has talked about making it more year-round. You mentioned the golf simulators. I think that's going to be a major draw.
Indeed. I don't know if you remember, Joe, but there was I'm not suggesting this is going to happen, but there was a little ski operation up there, little Heavenly Hill, where a lot of people learned how to ski.
Yes. And toboggan.
Indeed. Breaking it out.
Yeah. all part of growing pains as a child.
Absolutely.
And then some planned improvements nearby there at Forbes Hill Park as well?
Yes, kind of looking at it as one total facility. So, yes, that's gotten a little tight as well. And I know I don't remember the final plan off the top of my head now, but I believe they're replacing a tennis court, a couple of courts, and maybe adding some bocce and horseshoes.
Yep.
But nothing elaborate, but there's a pretty good space there. That was the old Forbes Hill water tower and reservoir up there back in the late 1800s.
Right, yep. And the water tower, I know, will stay. That's really an iconic landmark for that part of the city.
It sure is, indeed. It's a handsome structure.
Do you know the timeline, roughly, Mayor, for the project?
I think we should, the bulk of the tough stuff should be done before the spring, but I think it's probably late summer next year before all of it is done.
Okay, very good. Another couple of major projects going on are at the city's cemeteries, the two largest ones at least, at Mount Wollaston and Pine Hill.
The two active ones.
Yes. Very good.
Yes, Mount Wollaston, we did, last few years, we did a lot of work in there, replacing all the water mains, lines, spigots, new roadways in there. And then the most recent project that we've been working on is the veteran section and the gate that comes in, the main gate from C Street. Beautifully new landscape, completely changed the entrance. It was very unwieldy before. You could probably land a plane on that end of it. It was just so wide and crazy setup. So got a more formal entrance, which is similar to what it was way back when. Not the same style gate, but a very similar formal entrance that most cemeteries of this vintage have. We're picking up space for additional veterans' graves. We moved all the war monuments so they align chronologically, and they'll all be lit at night. And we're adding flags for not only the U.S. flag, state, and city, but the 6 branches of the military branches of service will be also uplit at night. The gate itself, the entrance area, which is made of an iron product, being constructed, built as we speak. That won't be ready probably till the spring, but everything else will be finished up probably about a week before Veterans Day, and we'll reopen the facility.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I was up there last week shooting some video, and while I was there, a huge crew from Nichols Landscaping showed up with a giant truckload full of shrubs and trees, and it really looks amazing.
Well, that was a good opportunity for a couple of shots.
It's worked out well. I just told them to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, they do. It's interesting. It's Matt Nichols is a Quincy kid, a big company now, and he's been involved. John Fulsham, his company, Fulsham Company, been involved in the curbing and some of the stonework, because Jim Edwards, the architect, a local guy. So it's pretty cool. A great historic project all being worked on by a number of Quincy people.
And I couldn't help but notice the 4 refurbished cannons at the top of the hill there.
Indeed, yeah, we actually shipped them out, had them completely sandblasted and repainted. They were, if you get up close to them, they were pretty rough, but they have a nice touch around the Civil War monument there that really looks sharp there up on the hill.
Absolutely. Probably a much larger project though was over at Pine Hill Cemetery. Yes.
Indeed, yeah. Much larger project. Yeah. Mount Wollaston is more cosmetic. Pine Hill is literally adding thousands of new graves.
Right.
With some of the land we had up there. As you know, Joe, over the years, we had the challenges with the expansion of the cemetery. When I say expansion, I mean building out new sections within the property that we owned. The city purchased that property under Jim McIntyre back in the 60s, I believe, from the state. Then over time, essentially you build out a cemetery like sections at a time. As you bring revenue in, you build out another section. So if we had done that, we would have had far more acreage if we had done the whole thing way back when. But since that time, we've had issues with the snake habitat up there, which has restricted the amount of land we can use up there for graves. So this was many years of discussion, battle, a dialogue between the state and the city, and we finally came upon this expansion project, which then restricts anything further after this is finished up, so that this would be the last phase, if you will, under the current law for cemetery graves. But it'll carry us probably 20 years, so okay. It's a good project.
Yeah, and more spots for veterans as well. Is that right? A separate section?
Yes, adding and embellishing the veteran section up there, which is going to be, I think, much nicer, certainly. There'll be other amenities up there, too. We're looking at some nice outdoor public art, some redoing the roads, new trees. The entrance portion off of Chickatawbut will have a feature being designed and constructed by Ryan Ackerman. There'll be a water feature coming into the cemetery. So cemeteries are a very important place, Joe, obviously for people to bury their loved ones. It's a place for them to visit and certainly reflect and pray, whatever their tradition may be. It's also, cemeteries in urban areas have become kind of parks, not in the sense of, playing a game, but just passive recreation, walking through, biking through. And certainly that's happened with Mount Wollaston. Yeah. When the pandemic hit, Mount Wollaston became so popular for people walking and biking, particularly with the new roads in there. So it's not just about the burials that are in there, but also allows people to go to a place that's quiet and they can enjoy some time to think.
Yeah. And it also documents the history of the community through its people.
Indeed, absolutely. Tells the history, absolutely. If you walk through and start reading some of those headstones, it's pretty remarkable, the stories and lives that we lived here.
Sure. Any timeline on that project, Pine Hill, Mayor?
Yeah, that should be finished up by late next spring.
Oh, okay. Very good. And I know pre-need sales are already underway, so folks can look at that now.
Yes, which is a pretty good service because for many years that was stopped. It was only at need. So people that are trying to plan things out, it's so much easier for them with the lots available. So people out there, you can talk to your funeral director about your pre-arrangements, and Pine Hill can be worked in nicely.
Sure. Got the plows on the trucks yet, Mayor?
Well, Joe.
It snowed atop Mount Washington for the first time this season over the weekend.
Farmer's Almanac and all kinds of others point to a busy season for us coming up.
Yes.
But as you know, we have a very professional DPW operation, and I know they've already had some meetings. I have a meeting coming up with them, making sure they get all the equipment they needed, material that they'll need, and obviously the private sector contractors all lined up. Some communities are having trouble getting contractors because there's less of them that want to do snow work and removals. How do they get help with proper operations like that? So I don't know, 5-10 years, who's going to be driving the snow plows, but that's going to be a challenge going forward.
Right. Yeah, I know the state's having a similar issue for the state roads. So
we are in good shape, though. We've got a number of contractors that have been with us for years, and good relationships make a difference because not only when the need of a storm, but these contractors are deep with loaders and other equipment that should we need it if we get too much snow, you start the removal process. So
right.
Thankfully, we have a good operation set up.
And let's hope they all get a lot of rest this winter. We don't need them. Yes. Thanks for your time, Mayor.
My pleasure. Enjoy the day.
You too. Bye-bye.